Hello guys, hope you are doing good. Welcome to the first session for the mold design course using SolidWorks. In the first few sessions, we will mainly look at the theory behind the mold design, and in the subsequent sessions, we will be designing the mold using SolidWorks. In this session, we will be looking at the basic working of the injection molding process, learning about the mold cycle, thermoplastics and thermosets, plastic processing methods, and we will also have a look at the current scenario of mold industry, engineering plastics, and properties of plastics in brief. The first topic we shall cover is what exactly is injection molding. Injection molding is a manufacturing process in which parts are made by injecting molten material into a mold. The hot molten material which is injected takes the shape of the mold and then solidifies as it is being cooled. Then the mold is opened and we get the required part. Here we have an animation showing the basic working of the molding system. I will first run the animation so you guys can see the working, and later I will explain the working. The raw material used for injection molding plastic parts is plastic pellets, which are called as resins. This resin is dropped in a hopper, and through the hopper it goes into the injection barrel. In the injection barrel, the plastic pellets are driven forward by the rotation of a screw. As the plastic moves forward, it melts due to the friction and gets converted to molten plastic. External heating may also be provided in some cases to melt the plastic. Then this molten plastic is injected into the mold through the nozzle. The molten material fills the region between the core and the cavity, where it takes the shape of the mold. The core is the convex region which forms the inner surface of the component which is being molded. It is also referred to as the male portion of the mold. The cavity is the depression or the concave region which forms the outer surface of the component. It is also referred to as the female portion of the mold. The material filled between the core and the cavity is allowed to cool for a while so it solidifies, and then the part is ejected from the mold. There are also many other parts that form a part of the injection molding system, which will be discussed in the later sessions. Now, there are many different manufacturing processes for creating plastic parts, which will be covered in brief in a while, but there are some distinct advantages of using injection molding process. First is that injection molding can be used to create very detailed and complex geometries with high accuracy. Also, this method is very fast compared to other methods which allow for high production rates. It is also possible to add additives to the feed to impart greater strength to the plastic. We can also use multiple plastic types simultaneously in injection molding, and it is also possible to automate the entire process, allowing for lower manufacturing costs. Due to these reasons, injection molding is preferred in industries for making plastic parts. One of the latest technologies introduced in injection molding is micro-injection molding. So if you need to manufacture any parts in micro tolerance, then this method can be used. Here in this image, we can see that the hole size required was 250 microns. For making such small features, micro-injection molding process can be used. These parts may be used for medical applications or high-precision mechanical devices like watches. Now, what is mold cycle? The time required to complete one injection molding process is called mold cycle. There is no fixed formula for calculating this mold cycle time. It depends on a number of factors that I will be explaining in this slide. The first factor is number of cavities. The number of cavities is the number of parts that will be produced in each cycle. So it's not like only one part can be produced in each cycle. It is possible to create 2, 4, 10 or even 64 parts using a single tool in one single cycle. And more the number of cavities, higher will be the cycle time. The second factor is the type of material. A number of materials are available for injection moldings like ABS, polycarbonate, plastic, and many more. Now, different materials will have different material properties like different densities, which will affect the cooling time for the molten plastic. And more the cooling time, more will be the mold cycle time. To explain the next few factors, I will have to first explain what runners and gates are. Remember, I mentioned how the molten material passes through the injection barrel and moves to the mold. There are also other components present in between. From the nozzle at the end of the injection barrel, the material first enters the sprue. You can see the sprue on the image on the right. Now, sprue is basically a large channel in the mold which receives the molten material from the nozzle. This sprue channel gets divided into a number of smaller channels called a runner. This runner carries the molten material to each individual section of the mold, and the connecting channel between the runner and the part is called the gate. So the next factor is runner removal. Now since runners are not part of the component required, they have to be removed, which results in an increase in mold cycle time. Runners can be removed manually or by using robots, but for lower mold cycle times, use of robots is preferred. Runner type and gate type. There are many types of runners and gates available which can be used in injection molding, which will be discussed in further sessions. So the type of the runner or gate which we select will also affect the mold cycle time. Geometry. The thickness of the part manufactured will also impact the mold cycle time. If the thickness is more, then more cooling time will be required to solidify the plastic and thus more cycle time required. This refers to the design aspect of the mold or how well the mold is designed. Let's take the length of the runner channel as an example. We know that runner channels are provided for the molten material to reach the cavity. But how much should be the length of the runner channel comes into design considerations. If we provide a runner channel more than the required length, then that would increase the mold cycle time. So how good the design of mold is will also impact the mold cycle time. The injection molding machines are primarily classified by the type of driving systems they use. The driving system can be hydraulic, mechanical, or electric. So the type of machine used will also impact the mold cycle time. Electric machines have been found to be faster and also more accurate, but they are also the most expensive ones. All plastics can be divided into two major types, thermoplastic and thermoset. The primary difference that you need to know between these two types of plastics is that thermoplastics can be remelted back into a liquid repeatedly, whereas thermosets once shaped cannot be remelted. This happens because when thermosets are heated, the polymer chains are attached together with a process called cross-linking, which gives it a permanent 3D shape and makes it more resistant to melting. But since thermoplastics do not form this cross-links, they can be easily melted. This property of thermoplastic makes it easier to shape, and that is why for making plastic components using injection molding, we use thermoplastics. Most of the plastic components used for making a car, around 90%, are also thermoplastics. An example of thermoset would be your cooker handles. These handles are made from bakelite, which is a thermosetting plastic. In general, thermosets are stronger than thermoplastics. That is why you can find thermosets in safety equipment like helmets, and is also used for heavy industrial applications like load bearings. And as thermoplastics can be remelted and shaped into other components, it is recyclable. One of the disadvantages of using thermoplastics is that it cannot withstand high temperatures. So applications where high temperature resistance is required, for example, engine parts, landing gear for planes, or satellite components, thermosets will be preferred. And also very high surface finish can be acquired using thermoplastics, which is not possible in thermosets. So in application where good surface finish is required, like interior of luxury cars, then thermoplastic will be used. Let's move on to the plastic processing methods. Injection molding is not the only plastic processing method available to us. There are many other methods as shown in this slide, and I will be giving a brief explanation on all the processing methods. But we won't go into much detail as the focus of our course is the injection molding process. For thermosets, we have compression molding. In thermoplastics, we have injection molding, rotational molding, extrusion, vacuum forming, blow molding, and gas-assisted injection molding. The working of gas-assisted injection molding is the same as injection molding, which was covered in initial slides, but here an additive is added in the form of a gas. When making components of high thickness using the injection molding process, small craters are produced in the part due to shrinkage of plastic. This is a defect known as a sink mark. We will be covering all the defects formed in the injection molding process in the later sessions. For now, you need to just understand that in gas-assisted injection molding, a gas is added to the feed of the system to avoid the sink mark defect. This is the diagram for compression molding. In compression molding, the core is fixed and the cavity plate is moving. This is the opposite of what happens in the injection molding, where the cavity is fixed and the core plate moves. The material which is to be processed is placed on top of the core. Moving cavity plate will compress the material and the desired shape will be obtained. Compression molding is usually used to make rigid and hard to break parts like pot handles. Rotational molding. Here we see the powder is placed in the shell first. The shell is then closed and the system is rotated. Heat is applied from the outside and this results in the formation of component in the outer edge. The part is then cooled and ejected from the system. Rotational molding is used for creation of hollow parts like toys. Extrusion. In the extrusion process, the material is placed inside a container. A ram forces this material through the die to acquire the desired shape. Pipes, window panes are usually made using extrusion process. Vacuum forming. This diagram here is not an accurate representation, but it still explains the general concept of vacuum forming. In vacuum forming, a plastic sheet will be placed over the mold and it will be clamped using some mechanism. Then the sheet will be heated, which will make the sheet more flexible to move. The vacuum formed at the bottom of the container will pull the sheet and the sheet will take the shape of the container. Food containers is one example of vacuum formed part. Blow molding. For the blow molding process, a molten tube of plastic is extruded from the machine and placed into the mold. The pressurized gas is blown into the tube and the plastic captures the profile of the mold. Water containers, large drums are some of the parts that are made using blow molding process. Now we will look at the current scenario of mold industry. Molding is a very important process in industrial production. Now molding can be in the form of plastics, it can be in the form of die casting or in the form of sheet metals. For the formation of plastic components, injection molding is the most frequently used method. For making sheet metals, press tools are used, and for die casted components, high pressure die casting and low pressure die casting machines are used. Among these things, plastic specifically plays a very important role. The development of lightweight vehicles is an inevitable trend that will effectively promote the development of plastic injection molding. According to statistics, more than 95% of parts of the car need to rely on mold for batch processing in the development of a new car. This includes around 20,000 auto parts, including sheet metal parts, die casting parts, stamping parts, plastic molded parts, electronic components, and so on. In the development and manufacturing of these parts, a large number of molds and fixtures are required, and the demand of molds is the largest item. Therefore, every time the whole vehicle is changed, it needs thousands of molds worth up to millions of dollars. Plastics are used for interior, exterior, and even structural parts in the manufacturing of cars. If we look at high-end luxury cars, then their main focus is in the interior of the car. They usually require plastic with a mirror finish for the car interiors. So these plastics are manufactured using injection molding, and mold tools used for the manufacturing are highly polished. Overall, the use of plastics in the automotive sector in developed countries is continuing to grow. The proportion of plastic injection molding in total automotive molding has exceeded 60% and account for about 10 to 15% of the total mass of a car. In the future, with the pursuit of lightweight design of automobiles, the use of plastics in automotive field is expected to become larger and larger. This diagram shows the number of molds required for the manufacturing of an average car. You can see that more than 20,000 automotive parts require molds, which includes 1,500 stamping dies, 800 plastic moldings, 300 sheet metal moldings, and more than 100 die casting molds. The weight of an average car is around 800 to 1400 kg. A 10% weight reduction of car would correspond to 6 to 8% increase in fuel efficiency. A 100 kg weight reduction would correspond to 0.3 to 0.6 liter of fuel saved every 100 kilometers. This is why industries are trying to replace the die casting and sheet metal parts with plastics, as plastics are lighter. In this section, we will be looking at some applications of plastics made by injection molding in this section and have a look at what plastics are being used in the industry. This slide basically summarizes why plastics are being used in production. Plastics are not simply replacement materials, but their use is based on technical merits such as lower weight, cheaper prices, aesthetics, reduction of vibration and noise, reduced maintenance, and corrosion and chemical resistance to external factors. This slide shows the demand for thermoplastics. The standard plastics shown in the diagram refer to the plastics you see in your household. Your bottles, buckets, mobile phone covers are made using standard plastics. PE is polyethylene, PP is polypropylene, PVC, and PS is polystyrene. Engineering plastics are the plastics that you will find used for making car or airplane components. ABS is acrylonitrile butadiene styrene. ASA and SAN are alternatives for ABS. PA is polyamide, which is commonly called nylon. More detail regarding this engineering plastics will be covered in the next topic. High performance plastics are used in applications requiring very high temperature stabilities and high strength. I had previously mentioned that the weight of plastic in a car makes about 10 to 15% of its total weight. This table here shows the weight distribution of various types of plastics being used in the manufacturing of cars. You guys can take a look at the table, it's pretty self-explanatory. Since there are so many plastics available, all with different properties, the selection of the right plastic for your component should be done based on properties mentioned in this slide. Mechanical, electrical, thermal properties, how easy is the processing, is the material safe, cost, all these factors play a role in selection of the right plastic material. In the next few slides, we will be seeing car parts which are made using plastics. This slide shows the interior car parts that are injection molded plastics. The overhead systems, the interior trims, instrument panel and steering wheel, these are all made using plastics. This slide shows the plastic parts on the car exterior. The body side claddings, headlights, fog lights, bumpers are made using plastics. Bumpers are usually made using a combination of polycarbonate and ABS. Claddings can be made using many materials, but ABS is also used for making claddings. And car headlights are also made using injection molding. Polymethyl methacrylate is the material used for headlight. This is a picture of parts under the car bonnet. Here you can see the reservoirs for the brake fluid and the coolant. Those are made from plastics. The engine oil filler cap, battery cover and air cleaner, and in general many parts of water induction and fuel systems make use of plastics. Now there are a lot of plastics available for processing. The selection of the right plastic will be based on a number of factors mentioned in the next few slides. For any product design, there will be a number of requirements the product must meet. So the plastic with the lowest cost that matches the requirements of the product will be selected for processing. There are 6 basic divisions of the most common engineering plastics: polycarbonates, polyesters, styrenic copolymers, ABS is a styrenic copolymer, polyamides, which are nylons, PMMA, which stands for polymethyl methacrylate, commonly known as acrylics, and POM, polyoxymethylene, which commonly is known as acetyl. In the table below, I have summarized all the properties of the 6 plastic types. Here, crystallinity refers to the degree of structural order in plastics. Tg is the glass transition temperature and Tm is the melting point. So how is the selection of plastic done? For example, let's say we are using a plastic component that will be part of some industrial machinery where the temperature can exceed 500 degrees Fahrenheit. So if the product requirement says that melting point should be above 500, then we will have to choose either polyesters or polyamides. Or let's say we want a plastic that has a clear transparent surface, then we can make use of polycarbonates or acrylics. This is why safety glasses are made using polycarbonate, and for skylights we use acrylics. So based on the properties mentioned here and the product requirement, the selection of the plastic is done. The rest of the table is pretty self-explanatory. I will pause here a moment so you guys can go through it. This slide shows some more properties for common plastics used. Weatherability is the ability of a material to withstand harsh atmospheric weather conditions. Creep is the tendency of a material to deform permanently when subjected to stresses over a long period of time. I will pause here a moment so you guys can go through the table. And this slide here shows some common applications for the various types of plastics which we have discussed. By the end of this session, you should have grasped a basic understanding of how the injection molding process works. We will be discussing the injection molding process in detail in the next session, and you should also be familiar with terms such as mold cycle, thermoplastics, and thermosets. We also discussed the plastic processing methods other than injection molding in this session, and you should also be aware of the major plastic types used in injection molding. That's it for this session. Thank you for watching the video.